A lot more. Welcome. Um, I think I'm going to use that, and then I think we're going to do. And then I also think we're going to take the chat off as well. Okay, so hi, welcome. What's going on? Hopefully you all are doing okay. I'm gonna jump into this for a little bit. So the GTT for the day, the glow ticket topic tip that we're getting ready to go into, or the glow ticket topics is today's is going to be dealing with Planoly. So Planoly is a place that I learned about some years back. And I originally learned about Planoly. I think I was just trying to figure out some things and I came across them some type of way. So Planoly is a way to put all your socials that you're thinking about doing as you run your business. So it's really for entrepreneurs in that sense, and active people, women, men who are running their careers. And so they are really about trying to figure out how they want to do things, how they want to show up in a successful manner, and then also look and dress the part with their wardrobes. And so everything is really usually aesthetically pleasing, and that's really one of the biggest piece of that particular type of platform. So yes, I am definitely here for Planoly as well. Planoly has been something that I've learned about now for quite some time. If you really want to get more in depth with that, then I definitely suggest that you all reach out, and you can do so if you like. Just leave a comment on the video and then we'll work out some kind of coaching so that we can figure out how to authentically have a glow there. So authentic glow coaching is something that I'm going to help you all. Now, when we deal with help you all master, and when we are dealing with, let's say for an example, some of the ladies that I prefer serving are like the mothers who are constantly busy, so they are always overlooked. No one ever takes a second glance at them and their abilities to do things like that, so it makes them experience some kind of lack. So that's always the issue with figuring out where the balance is between why they're overlooked because they're moms and the lack of glow makes it easily done by other people. And when you deal with Planoly, let's say they're looking to launch a new business endeavor and they're trying to figure out how to scale their businesses, Planoly is a really great way. Planoly is something that allows you to have all your creative moments in one place. And all your creative moments can be whatever your thoughts are, however you want to launch what you want to do. Hi, thank you for joining and welcome. And so that's really a great spot. So I'm always going to give it a yes and thumbs up because it's really saved me when I was in really tight spots and jams. So jams and tight spots are places that are like encroached upon. So people either want to really be there, which I don't mind. I'm very social, so I don't find all of those issues wrong. But I will say we need balance. I definitely am a go-getter and a grit person when it comes to dealing with balance, which again is how we think about things. And do I find this helpful? Most definitely. At times where I was really struggling, I relied and made myself not even just realize that a particular platform can be good for ill or it can be good for well wishes. And this is definitely one of the ones where I found I've never really deviated from. And that's because of how well wishes were really given and were therefore cultivated in a positive way. And that positivity is something that is constantly drawing people in order to express what their thoughts are. So that's one of the reasons why I always found this particular platform so helpful, especially for entrepreneurs and busy mothers or people who want to practice those creative spirits and just are so looked over that it's extremely difficult for them to do those things. So very helpful. Yes, highly recommend for productivity. And those moments where I was struggling so much so to just even have anybody believe that this was a platform that is helpful is just in above itself astounding. The fact that just simple having creativity as a platform was a moment of great clarity. It was so clear that there was something that was really different about Planoly. And Planoly, you can go to their YouTube and things like that, and you thank you for the like. And you can see that they have very different videos. They help you with your storefronts. They help you figure out what you want to launch. And the launches, like I said, are my own personal belief when it comes to with coaching and things I think about is usually very creative. So it's always something that's going to be able to help you organize your thoughts creatively. And when you're a creative person, you're kind of sort of probably like myself. I have notebooks, I have notes inside of the iPhone, and I have kind of sort of just like sheets of paper in different places. And I'm not constantly wanting to do kind of sort of things like that continuously. So what I find is that Planoly can help you either with your notes. There's different stock photos, there's YouTube tutorials, so it helps with that overall ability to not necessarily just feel like it's just strictly for having an aesthetic that looks a certain way, because it's not really ultimately all that there is. It's also ways to align your thoughts so that you can organize your creativity so that you can actually scale and run your business. So Planoly is definitely a way to harmonize what you thought of, harmonize what you think about, harmonize what you are thinking about, to the point where you actually are feeling like you have not wasted a day. So that means that it's actually something that helps you with your productivity. And as a busy mom, and you already are lacking a certain idea of how to have your hair or your thought or your makeup, which is how you figure out how you want to present yourself, that is a space that is going to help you do that. So when you are able to take those moments for yourself, and I know as busy mothers, it's not easy, as you can see, look at my fro, or I'm still in PJs, or just all of these things that are going on. Like my nails are here, but I'm a day behind, right? Like but I'm not. I'm ready to figure out the next step, but I'm not necessarily finding the proper time just yet to do those things. So how do we balance that? And Planoly is a place that can help you further along. I was giving an example yesterday to some of the IG followers, and I was telling them that I was doing something, and this quote that you all see back here was saying that I failed, but to switch to psychology was not to say that I failed, but I actually learned something. And you can also see that in Planoly, you have your list of what you want to accomplish, and they'll have it auto post where you can send it out to whatever platform you prefer. My own, personally speaking, is Instagram. And so I had it so it can go to the certain spot at a certain time on a certain date, and I didn't have to worry anymore. And I pulled it up, so I like to double check and make sure that everything is going how I needed to go, and it wasn't. And when I say needed to go, I kind of sort of like to make sure that when it's published at this time, that's on Planoly, that's where it is when I go to Instagram. And it's not there, I freak out. So I learned in that failure that immediately I can realize that, okay, well, what this tells myself when you're thinking about things as a coach, okay, well, I did put this here, but I learned that this was something that sometimes is not necessarily set in stone. So if this is not set in stone, then what I learned is that I can go here by double checking it and taking out that time to really do those motions and go through those steps of opening Instagram. Did I see it there or not? Did I see what my scheduled post was in a manifestation period? No. Okay, well, now that I know that it's not here, I can go through Planoly and I can figure out what the proper post was supposed to have been, and then hopefully I can keep a second track of it. And this is in a scenario hypothesis that we actually have that particular content readily available. So by the time we go back through our whatever folder or app that you use to keep your products and your thinking patterns and creativity in, myself at this particular point in time, I have storage that's readily available for our phone, and that's how you use it. And so all you have to do with that particular point in time is go through, locate what you're looking for. Whenever you lay eyes on it, you pull up your app, and then you place it there and you schedule it for a time frame that's available to you. Now, instead of freaking out and flipping out, not really sure, just cursing whatever app you're using, this particular point, it is happened to be just this one, which is Planoly. And the fact that you can really realize that because of this failure, I was never have necessarily cultivated these other skills. And that's where you can realize now that just because I am failing at something is also a moment to realize that I can also do these things. And that is a moment where you can flip how you interpret what's being said about you. As another example, there are moments and points in time as you scale your business and you're doing all kind of side hustles, and you realize that sometimes people can maybe unknowingly, unwittingly have, and that's creatives and entrepreneurs and busy moms and mothers, we're probably a little more inclined to sensitivity than those entities who may, let's say, have put their maybe childbearing years on hold in order to pursue a career. And now that you have those entities there, they may be a little bit more tough skinned, a little less inclined to really take things that people are saying and run with them. And so when you have other women who are working moms and have multiple hustles and trying to figure out how they want to express their creativities and enhance other people's thinking patterns and things of that nature, not just always physically either, then that becomes a little bit more like, oh, well, what was said? Or, well, why did you feel like that was something else that was needed to have been said? So there are different and how they conduct themselves because their choices are different. And I just want us to have those examples in place of learning from failures. People's failures, it can be intertwined, and the fact that there are failures sometimes for people to not practice the mode that we thought was best. And in that moment, we get to learn. In that moment, we get to learn skills. The skills can be just as simple as understanding that about ourselves and other people. It's a simple skill that's able to just have that moment where you're able to just realize that, okay, well, just because I thought that this way was appropriate course of conduct and this was not something that necessarily took place, that can allow us a skill to realize that not everybody's going to act appropriately. And then we can take that and we can hone that craft in the next launch we choose. And however that manifests itself and comes back as a kind of sort of karmatic expression, if you will, then that realizes a certain reality, and especially for creatives. And sometimes people who are really creative are people that really express what their true thoughts are. So sometimes people cannot really care enough to really want to do these things. And you have to realize there's certain people who, because they're less creative, they are able to express themselves in a certain way that we believe as creatives is most appropriate. So how do you handle that type of entity there? Just keep going. Keep having the mindset to show up. I'll give you another example. A young lady was out and about and just was looking all different, and it was almost like, why don't you understand? And they're not. And so what you do is not just kind of sort of flip off totally. I get venting. I understand that definitely as a mother, and they don't really have that, or they have this, and maybe the mom is a little bit this way or something like that. So you feel the prickliness of things, and as you realize that those issues are there, you learn there's a skill there. You mastered something. And it's just really being that aware that just because we want certain things, let's say for an example, to go this way or do that or do this or however you choose to have it, and somebody else is thwarting something that is in a particular of a sore spot for whomever is the particular creative. And now you have those moments, well, what do I do? And you have to kind of sort of ask yourself those tough questions. You have to ask yourself, and I have a workbook that you all can go through, and it's space that you can journal out and answer these questions and really think about, what do you do in those moments? What is appropriate? And really think about it, and then write it down, and then do those things. And I'll try to put the link in the description where you can find this particular workbook. And so as you try to sort of figure it out, my own thought is that what I try to do is, okay, what's the other thought that I'm missing? If I have one thought here, and that's the only thought that there was, and that's one that was something that was a cool thought, I'm not going to say nothing is wrong with this in particular. And what you have to see is that there's a multitude of thoughts and thinking patterns. And it's about what is it that's the best course of action for what's taking place. And that's how you choose to necessarily conduct what your thought is as a creative. And when you think about what that means for each entity, And don't get me wrong, again, remember there's always the two differences because they're just choice patterns and they're constantly coming up. So the skill is going to eventually just find honing and honing. And so, and anybody doesn't know what honing means, honing is a skill after repeatedly done becomes sharper. It's quicker, wiser. It's more inclined to act as soon as the information is there because we've done it so many times. It's becoming an expert. It's becoming really easy to do, and it's a part of why we do the things that we have. And so when you realize that the differences are popping, the differences are there. The differences have manifested, and now we don't know what to do. The differences are around, and some of the similarities are too. So now you have those moments, and we have to figure it out. We have to ask ourselves. And sometimes it's hard to act on what it is that the difference is. And especially as a creator. And I get it. I totally understand that there is a sense of sensitivity. But I want us to do these things anyway. I want us to do these things regardless. I want us to do these things even in the midst of the differences. I want us to still be able to cope and live successfully dealing with what we think about regardless. That's what we have to learn to do. So I'm going to definitely try to give you all that link here soon. And I don't want anybody to be so riled up to the point where we are not allowing Planoly to necessarily give us a certain freedom that we may actually secretly crave and need. Because there's times where people who just don't understand that this is something that we really are necessarily kind of sort of pursuing to a certain extent. And eventually, when we don't really take heed to that, we can find ourselves with a sense of regret. We can find ourselves with our kind of sort of beat up moments, and we can find ourselves kind of sort of like, wow, you so silly. Why did you do this? Like, there was a moment in time where you knew you were supposed to have kept that, and now you feel silly because you left it, and now they look like they right, and the whole time you may have really wanted to have this particular thing. So why did you do that? So now we mad. Now we huffing and puffing, and now we got a moment, and we don't understand why we're not receiving. We don't understand why they're this way and we're not. We don't get it. We don't like it. We don't understand that this is something that we created, that we've cultivated. And this is a problem because we needed something, and particularly speaking. And we needed this particular thing so much so to the point that what was best was simply to acknowledge that it was something that was useful and helpful. Share that so that when things are necessarily unfolding to that certain extent, and again, especially for creatives, that we can fall back and realize that, okay, this person didn't tell us a certain type of any old thing right off the whim. This person did not choose this type of behavior. This person was not intentionally willing to go forth and actually make this something that was so intent to only coming across a certain way because they were afraid, because they didn't want you to feel as though your feelings mattered when they secretly thought that they didn't, or they were really trying to savor their own butt but at the expense of yours. Or maybe, let's say for an example, the whole entire point that you did this whole entire thing was to have a moment where you can have some type of clarity in what you thought about, and then you just completely jeopardized it. And it was for the sake of some external factor, and that's where we experience those lacks. Those lacking moments come from an inability to accept and give praise where praise is properly due. That's a problem. That's so disconnected to the point where our psychology has now become warped. We have intervened in things that we were best keeping our nose out of. We have chosen to disconnect so totally from reality that we have allowed someone else to feel like they got an upper hand on something, and it's justified to be not in that one, not in theirs. not in their sphere, not in how they conducted themselves, not in how they thought about things, not in how they said certain thoughts, not how they chose to come across when something was happening. That was not what was appropriate. That's what causes the lack of glowing. That's what causes the point of having us to experience lack, poverty, want. Being able to simply say, I want this life, I want this dress, I want this outfit, I want this man, I want this career, I want this job, I want this app, I want this to be something that changes my life for the better, and that's what I'm going to have. Nothing is going to stop nothing that I'm thinking about. Not the difference is not the people who got something else to say. Nobody who is going to throw a simple thing that I want to have is going to glow. Every single thought that is a problem, that is something that they want and it's only benefiting them, is not going to glow. Every time a person has an issue and they will not address it to the person, even though the thoughts in their heart are there, is not going to glow. Every time a person cuts you off and you react instead of meditating, saying a prayer, you're not going to glow. Every single time a professor, a teacher, a driver, a student, a colleague, a co-worker, an employer, a family member, anybody that's on this road, when you out and about and they side eye you, they give you some kind of negative vibe or energy, it's their mindset that is causing them to have problems with their energy. There are shifts that are taking place. There are strongholds that are being broken. There are enemies who are whispering and gossiping on your downfall. And we have to address these issues in order to block. If we allow these people to speak ill over our names, over our lives, over our thoughts, over our thinking, over our children, over our homes, over our cars, over our resources, over our finances, when we allow other people to think for us, to glow for us, are we glowing? No, they are. Why? Because we have allowed other people to step in when we were supposed to step up. That's why. That's where the issues and problems are. That's where the negativity manifests. That is why we are not glowing as much as we want to glow. Whatever this latest celebrity may have been, figure out what they doing. Emulate it. Take a note about it. If they showed up in leopard, go to the mall and see what's leopard. If they got something that you thought was pretty, Google it, ship it, expedite it, have it there tomorrow. Sit it there on your doorstep. Look at it every night until you have it. And when you have what you're looking for, hold on to it. Treat it with kind. Treat what you have manifested with such kindness that this particular thing does not want to go anywhere else. Because you're so good to what you receive. You're so good to the things that you receive that now you an affiliate. You're so good to the things that you have manifested that they have become attached. And what's really sad is that all of the coaches are preaching about detachment. Detach. I just saw this like maybe within the last few days or so. I didn't even know what YouTube I was on though, y'all. And I swear, they kept talking about how people were supposed to have detached from everything. Just detach and detach and detach. And it's like, oh, wow. Well, now the thing that I'm supposed to have wanted, I need to detach from. Why in the world am I going to spend all of this energy in keeping these things and then choose? But see, you got to have that ability to hear things with the openness. Because people are different. They are going to have different thoughts. And as you grow stronger and more confident and more in tune to what you're thinking about, to what it is that you want to manifest, to what you want to see 10 years later from where you are now, those moments and things that go like that will become less and less powerful over you. Less and less more of a torrent to the things that you want. Yes. Because if you are wanting and going after the things that you desire, you're not detaching from them. You are pursuing them actively so that you can have and enjoy them, especially as creators. So when you have people in your ear, and we love to do this, y'all. Oh my goodness, I give you so many examples. Our brand spaces owners' parents are divorced, and there's so many people who just constantly say, "Oh yeah, here's so and so number." Yeah, I swear. Here's the number. So, be able to detach from what you really think about. Let what you really want go ahead on down the road. I mean, but that's what they say. And we know it's like, wait a minute, what? Like, did you really just encourage them to be put on with somebody like that? Like, that's that. But see, again, choose your people. Choose your people, because the people that are for you, they know you. And like, I heard our pastor, he'll say something similar, like, if you want to sing, ask somebody about their feedback. Ask somebody listening to what you're singing and in that moment to express, and then they'll give you your feedback. They'll do so, and they'll do these things honestly. So that's your people. That's who you need to have. So for another example, when you have a person in your corner and you know that these people are not that type of entity, we know that they got some real live thoughts going on. We know this. We feel the energy. We know it's there. That's just something that's almost like messing with God. And now you have those moments where other people will choose to do these things anyway. So I just want you all to make sure you're being helpful and say yes to things that really are of importance to you and nobody else. And then really focus on the things that really bring you happiness. For creators, I'm sure it's probably artsy. For women who are probably with their children and are more like mothers and things like that, it's probably making sure that they're well fed, well taken care of. And we are kind of high active, energy workouters and workout enthusiasts. We probably are happiest when we are dealing with things like that. When we are really office oriented and things of that nature, we're probably happiest when we get to figure out what a new piece is that we can sit somewhere that really enhances the overall aesthetic. Or let's say, for an example, those issues are there and they're so prominent, and so now we have to figure out, well, what is it that I can do that's really going to allow what's taking place to manifest in a harmoniously done manner. And that's really what it's all about. And it's never going to be about detaching from, especially as a creative person, when you really are going after your goals. I really want to drive this point home. We are actively going after what we seek. We are not detaching from what we desire. So that's just gonna be something that I really want you all to focus on for a minute. And then the second one is, when we realize that we can not just detach from goals, and we're probably not supposed to, okay? Because goals are something that you want to focus your energy on so that you can achieve and accomplish them. And then when you really are aware that people can do a little bit of things that kind of sort of allows your glow to go up or down, but we also hold control over that, whether we allow them to or not. Because let's say, for example, when we listen, let's say when we allow other people to express what their thought is, and it's not in harmony to how we envision ourselves glowing, what happens then? What takes place is that we become bitter, resentful, angry, hostile, violent. I give you an example. Somebody was on the highway. They drove by. The young lady said something. He pulled out a gun. I give you another example of an instance where we allow people to express themselves and it's negative about something that takes place, and we believe them and we listen. The guy goes into the emergency room in Atlanta. The service is bad because he is receiving this type of service. And of course, we all are after great customer service. And let's say somebody got into somebody's ear and they had a moment and they weren't sure how to conduct themselves in a positive manner. And what was said into this entity at this particular point in time, for who knows what the reasons were, whether it was just a hate, whether it was just anything that was negative or derogatory. And the words spewed out, and they were less than what we needed to surround ourselves with for our people. And that got took into heart or took in some kind of way, maybe out of context for some unknown reason. And next, maybe they really did want to glow. I mean, and this was said, and you went ahead and expressed yourself the way that, oh God, I mean, it's just really that type of energy. I mean, it's just it's so easy to allow people to get into our headspace when we don't have that confidence. We are lacking our glow. We lack confidence because we're not glowing, and everybody wants that energy. So when we really are focusing on receiving this energy, we have no time to express anything other than receiving this energy, which makes us glow. And that includes allowing ourselves to have distance, like 6 feet, because I don't want us to detach from reality that things are really this way and we are believing that it's another. I want us to really listen to this. I really want us to understand this before I leave off this platform for a second. I'm wrapping this up. So when we have those moments and we just lack confidence, or we lack some kind of ability to, like I was mentioning earlier, glow, so there's no confidence there because we want this so badly. So what we do is, instead of allowing other entities to come in and allow us to have an ear and get into our ear, especially when they're derogatory, focus on your goals. Focus on making your life what you will. Focus your energy on figuring out how to make your life better, brighter, happier, cleaner, more energetic. And when you really can just run down the list, just run your list down, just put your list right in front of you daily and just go over it. Flip the page, run your fingers across it, fill the grooves. And that's where you put your energy, and not where people are taking your energy from you. So, Planoly, glow ticket topic tip is just some of these instances that I've just shared. So, yes, helpful, very creative. Okay? So, with that being said, thank you all for your likes and for coming by and things of that nature. I'm grateful for those, and hopefully you all will have a good night. And I will talk to you all again next week. Oh, make sure you like and subscribe.